Hi, y'all. Welcome to another session with me. So, today I want to talk about emotions. In the other video, I talked about thoughts and how thoughts are, automatically generated oftentimes. And then you have a dialogue with it, which is you are engaging with it. So, you're reacting to an automatic thought and then you're reacting to it. So emotions happen in the same pattern. Not in the same way, but it's the same pattern. So an emotion can be evoked and then you can get drawn into it, right? So we I'm sure everyone has experienced this before. Someone gets you angry, and then you go home, and then the anger just stays in your body, and it makes you think about it, and then so you're engaging with it, and you're thinking like you're justifying or having negative thoughts, and you're feeding into that emotion. So it's making you engage with it. And the thing about emotions is that it is a trigger that is caused by the environment or anything outside of you or from your thoughts, right? So it gets triggered, and then depending on what you do with it, it can intensify and then be stored back as that memory. And then, or it could, if you process it and just let it pass, then it would decrease in intensity. It may still come back, but the intensity would be decreased. It's a similar thing that happens with positive emotions. Let's say you went to a really good restaurant, you ate something really good, and you're really enjoying it, and you feel good. But every time you eat the same thing, you may still enjoy it, but you enjoy it less. So it's your body is getting used to the emotions, let's say. You could, however, increase that enjoyment by focusing on that enjoyment and bringing even more stimulus to it. Let's say you're eating a bowl of ramen, really good ramen, let's say, and the next time you go, let's say bring more friends, or you enjoy the surrounding, and you just layer in more and more about that experience and attach it to that eating of the bowl of ramen. So in that way, you can actually increase your enjoyment and positive emotions. So with negative emotions, you can do a similar thing. And a lot of people do it, actually, just automatically. So the emotion comes in, and then it makes you think about, it'll make you have negative thoughts. And then this negative thought feeds into the negative emotions. And so that becomes a vicious cycle. And then once you're done thinking about it, the emotion does subside, but then it's already become a pattern, and that emotional pattern gets stored back into your body. Even if you are not thinking about it anymore at that time, it gets stored. It gets stored back into your body, and with it, all the new thoughts that you've attached to it, the new negative emotions that you've attached to it. So it did intensify. Now, another thing that people often do is suppress an emotion. So it's like, there's a negative emotion comes up. You're like, no, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want this right now. Like you're pretty much rejecting it. And this has a different, this sort of have a different outcome. So let me give you an example. Have you ever, watched a movie and, a sad part's coming up. Let's say you watch it already, or you haven't watched it. Sad part comes up and it makes you want to cry, but you're like, no, I don't want to cry right now. There's a lot of people around me. I gotta just push it down. And then by the end of the movie, you're feeling really, really tired. That's because you are putting in a lot of energy to suppress those emotions. And since you've suppressed it and haven't dealt with it, it's still there, but it's still there. And I'm not too sure about this part, but the intensity doesn't increase or decrease. It's because you just haven't processed it, right? In the example of the movie, if you watch the same movie again, it may come up again because you've, suppressed it. The intensity is probably the same because you haven't really fully processed it. So your experience of that part of the movie isn't full because while you were watching it, you were really you were focusing your attention on suppressing that emotion that you had rather than trying to, enjoy the movie, let's say, and just accept any emotions that comes and whatever it does to your body, like make you cry. So most people, I would say, do this a lot throughout their life. They would suppress their emotions because they don't like negative emotions. I've done it for most of my life. I don't process any of the emotions. I just ignore it or I run away from it. My solution to all of this is, it's a problem that I just have to overcome. And so I ignore it and I just find ways to overcome challenges so that I don't have to deal with those emotions, but those emotions always come back because I've suppressed it. I haven't really processed it. So emotions are a natural thing that the body has. And both negative and positive emotions, like you may enjoy the positive emotions, so you're good with that, but negative emotions, they're the other side of the same coin, right? And if you choose to suppress it, it will come back, and it might come back at a bad time. And the more of these that you have, the more overwhelming it will be later on in life, because you're just stacking onto what you have to deal with later in life. And as you get older and older, you will have more and more responsibilities. Life does get harder as you get older. It's just that you are supposed to get better at handling life. And if you are better at handling it, it seems easier. But in actuality, it's harder. But it's just that your skills and experience have increased, so it may feel easier. So emotions are a natural thing. That's how your body works. You just have to process it. Just don't ignore it. Try not to feed it. I know that's a very hard thing to do because, negative emotions trigger negative thoughts. This is why, again, I recommend meditation, because when you practice meditation, you'll become more aware of your negative thoughts and negative emotions, and you can catch yourself and be able to just, be with the emotions, just let it go through your system. It's basically it's basically an energy that's going through your body. You can actually, it's true. Thoughts and emotions are energy. Every thought requires energy to generate. Every emotion requires energy to generate. And so just let these energy go through, do its thing. Just accept that it's there. Like I said, if you reject it, it will get stronger. You rejecting it is a form of feeding. If you suppress it, it will still be there. And like I said, it'll come back in, various ways. The more you suppress, the more ways you can get triggered, right? So just let it go through. Just accept that it's there. Accept that that's what your body does. And it will become weaker and weaker, and eventually it'll just not really be there anymore. It won't bother you anymore because it's not really novel anymore. You haven't fed it. It comes up and you accept it. It becomes a bit weaker because you're basically teaching your body to be okay with that emotion. And when your body is used to it, little by little, it will go away. But like I said, if you suppress it or reject it, it will either intensify or stay the same. And when it gets triggered again, you're not going to have a good time with it. So, hope that was helpful.